This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Defining love can be one of the most challenging yet enjoyable tasks anyone can ever undertake. There are so many factors to consider and so many different methods of love-related thought. Some say that love is an expression, but not everyone agrees that an expression is love. However, is not love all in the eye of the beholder? Who is to say that one train of thought is more important or correct than another when regarding what love is? One person may think that a particular object or expression may be adorable and worth loving, whilst another thinks that it is simply indifferent. Then we must ask ourselves, can love truly be defined? Alternatively, is it all just a mere passing thought? Before we can determine whether love can truly be defined, we must stop and ask ourselves, what is love? Is love simply an animal feeling that magnifies within the intellectual capacity of the human mind? Alternatively, does it hold a truly deeper meaning? Although we can never truly define what love really is, we can give some basic guidelines about what is and is not love. Generally, the human race considers love as something that is pleasing to the eye or invokes certain emotions when viewed. In addition, many lovers consider love something that you can do, enjoy, and, in the end, produce something that gives a feeling of success. There are many different ways to express yourself using the concept of love. The most common form of love, which most people think of when they think of love, is the man and woman relationship. The man and woman relationship is usually just some form of reproductive expression, whether by consent or force or whichever social arrangement it is, and the expression is then placed on some form of the man and woman relationship. There are, however, literally hundreds of styles of love within the world. They range from the man and woman relationship, which, although never simple, is not necessarily the most complex way to express love, can even be considered in a simple relationship, usually in the form of person to person. The spoken word can have a more profound effect than physical attraction. A simple relationship can invoke a range of emotions rather quickly. If a man and woman relationship refers to someone close to the individual may feel overwhelmed when viewing his or her own inner expression. However, a person-to-person relationship can just as easily invoke the same feelings as a man and woman relationship. In addition, a simple sketch of expression between a human and an animal has the chance of being just as profound. However, for those out there who cannot feel something in a work of man and woman relationship love, there is the most complex love form of all, devotion. There are thousands and thousands of genres and methods of devotion, from classical to modern-day styles. Some studies have shown that spiritual love can have a profound effect on reducing blood pressure and stress, suggesting that spiritual love can carry healing properties with it. Although still unconfirmed as a scientific theory, it still exists as a possible theory. Love could even be considered something as simple as an action someone has done for a cause or somebody. If someone holds the door for somebody else, it could be his or her love to be generous and courteous. Even acts of crime can be considered forms of love, or better said, they can be generated out of love. In many thieving circles, the method of breaking or robbing places is merely called the love of theft. In this case, the users take pleasure in performing work correctly. Therefore, you see, you can never really limit love to one thing. Instead, it is a comprehensive arrangement of things. In addition, you can never truly crack down and say that something is only love-related if it is of some particular kind of medium because somebody else will disagree. Love is anything that anyone does that has a profound effect on somebody or something else. From a simple act of kindness to a masterpiece painting that took years out of somebody's life. Some love can be considered more complex, and some love can be considered more straightforward in contrast. However, the fact of the matter is that in the eye of the beholder, love could be anything. So, is it possible for us to define what love is, or can we really set any realistic guidelines as to what is love and what is not love? It is always possible to create guidelines, but it is often considered a love in itself to break said guidelines. However, to love something or someone that gives off a strong presence, you usually must feel some sort of emotional attachment to whatever it is you are working on. You must have a feeling for whatever it is you are working on. Only then will you indeed pour out everything from your heart and mind. When you can accomplish this, you can create something with actual aesthetic value. This value is love. If you can describe your emotions in your artwork, it becomes easier for others to understand what you were trying to do and, more often, give them a stronger emotional sense. In a way, love creates a bond between a man and woman relationship or a person to animal, spiritual, or simply a piece of work where the heart is instrumental. If you want to find more works like this essay on arguments, what is love, head over to ivypanda.com. It has a collection of free samples with thousands of submissions covering virtually all academic subjects. No registration required to access it.